The Season 1 update for MWZ brought with it plenty of expansion to the mode, but there are a few areas that it may or may not have fallen short. In today's video, we're going to go over everything that's coming in the mid-season update, as well as what my predictions are for the future of this mode, based off of different things from Treyarch and the company overall, and what they did in the past with other titles, especially with the DMZ mode. MWZ is just like DMZ, is a third mode that was newly introduced for the COD series, and if we go based off of how DMZ went, we kind of turn that tide with MWZ. We can see a lot of expansion in the future. I'm Nomad, here on the channel we cover everything MWZ. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and 96% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. We would love to have you here, but without further ado, let's get straight into it and talk about this. As we all know, with the Season 1 update, there were 3 new schematics added to the game, as well as the VR11 Wonder Weapon. We also got the introduction of the Rift runs. This is the Tier 4 as well as the Tier 5 zone. And these zones are specifically tied into Act 4, the new act. But with the introduction of the new zone, I did think there would be way more contracts added to the act itself. We only got one, this being Bad Signal, where we need to investigate the anomaly as well as leave the Dark Ether and fight the Aether Worm for a second time like we did at the end of Act 3. Therefore, the last major thing in the Season 1 update blog post was a new Warlord Okabe. She's going to be introduced come mid-season on January 17th. She's a new lieutenant hired by Jack Fletcher being the leader of the Terminus Outcome. Based off the lore we know about her, she's going to be specifically tied to the Tier 4 zone. So when we do fight and encounter her as well as her mercs, she will be in the Tier 4 zone. Now this is going to be interesting. Some have the speculation that she's not going to be specifically tied to Tier 4 contracts. I disagree, because if we take a look at Act 3 and we go into the Tier 3 mission, Storm the Castle, this specifically had us defeat a warlord as well as collect some research from him. This is the current warlord that is on the map, Legacy, which is in the Legacy Stronghold. So I do think Okabe is going to be tied to plenty missions in Act 4. Now if we take a look at prior to the Season 1 update, multiplayer, the campaign, as well as MWZ were the only modes in the title, and they had been out for a few weeks before the Season 1 launch. Well, when Season 1 launched, Warzone accompanied it, and as you guys know, Warzone is the bread and butter of Call of Duty. It is the biggest game mode. It has the biggest player base as well as a competitive background. The reason I bring this up is I think Season 1 was to push Warzone, and I think the beginning of Season 1 was to push that mode specifically. Now, when we have the mid-season update, we will have to see what is going to come along with it for MWZ specifically. I will say I don't think the development company thought MWZ was going to do as good as it is doing right now. The player base for MWZ is fantastic. It's super strong and it's constantly growing, from newer players who have never played a COD title, never played zombies, or returning players who really enjoyed the round-based zombies, as well as Outbreak that we had in Cold War. So with that being said, as the mid-season update comes and further seasons beyond that, I do think MWZ is going to get pushed a lot. Now, at the beginning of the video, I brought up DMZ, and the reason for this is DMZ was the first third new mode introduced to Call of Duty overall, and that's what MWZ is as well. It is the first time this new third mode is being introduced. Sure, we had a zombies mode prior, but this is completely different with it being open world and with it kind of working how DMZ worked. If you guys don't know, DMZ had a similar contract system, and the open world played pretty much the same as MWZ with the looting, contracts, and different things like that as you jump into a match. Now, during DMZ's lifespan, it did take a little bit for it to get its feet off the ground, and eventually the mode grew, and there was so many different contracts. There were different factions that you can do contracts for, working your way up. Some of the factions were locked. You were not able to do those contracts until finishing other ones, kind of like how we see in MWZ. We also had the introduction of the Kashi Complex and other zones like that, which were specific challenging areas that you could go to that were on the map. As long as you found and had the key on you, you could access these different zones, and it would take you to a completely different map that had specific challenges in it as well as rewards at the end. We also saw the introduction of the wallet system, which allowed us to stash extra money up to 100,000 at a time and bring any amount with you into the game at the beginning, as well as a stash for keys and other specific items that helped you in future deployments. Now, I talk about all this because I do think MWZ is going to have a system like this. They're going to implement a cash system where we can store essence, as well as a system where we can store specific items. Now, whether that's going to be kill streaks, body armor, perk cans, whatever it may be, we do not know exactly what that's going to be, but I can guarantee you guys we are going to have a stash system, and this is going to play out similar to the way DMZ worked, but I think it's going to be on a grander scale this year for the mode, because in my opinion, I think this mode is growing to a bigger audience than DMZ did. I loved DMZ. It was my favorite mode that Call of Duty implemented. I did like it. I like the PvE, the PvP elements to it, but I am a zombies fan through and through, and MWZ has to be by far my favorite mode Call of Duty functionality is implemented. That's my opinion. Some people may not like it. That's totally fine, but I think this mode is super fantastic as long as it continues to get pushed, which I think it will in the future. So to do a quick summary, the reason why I make this video is just to let you guys know some people do not know a lot about DMZ and its lifespan and the way it worked out as a new third mode introduced to the title. But from my experience and what I saw during the lifespan of DMZ and the way MWZ is currently playing out with the player base, the expansion, as well as all the things that I know that are on the back burner for this mode, I do think there's going to be a lot coming. And I think this mode is going to continue to grow and become better in the future. And I just can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to all the changes that they're going to implement. Because as we've seen, there's a huge story twist at the end of Act 4. We know Zakayev is captured. He's not dead yet. We know Dr. Jensen, something's happening with her. We also know that older characters are introduced. We could see it on the computer at the end of the cutscene on Act 4. They're introducing new characters. What is going to come with the new contracts, potentially with Act 5 coming out probably next season? There is going to be a lot of expansion to this mode. I think we're going to go to new zones. There's going to be fantastic contracts for us to complete. There's going to be different bosses, different mini bosses around the world. We still know of so many bosses, the chemist, the maestro, different legacy contracts and different bosses just like DMZ had. DMZ did them a little bit better, I would say, than MWZ currently is doing them. We will have to see the way they introduce these new warlords into the title, and it's just going to be fantastic overall. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. Again, 96% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. Smash that subscribe button. We would love to have you guys. 2024 is going to be the biggest year here for the channel. I'm super excited about it. I have a ton of stuff in the pipeline. You do not want to miss it. I'm super excited about it. I would love for you guys to be here to witness it and be here with me on this journey. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I couldn't be here in this position without you and you guys supporting me and supporting the channel. This is ultimately why I do this. I love content. I love making content, but at the end of the day, I do this for myself, but as well as for you guys. And you guys really push me to continue to do this. Drop a comment down below what you guys are thinking currently of MWZ, what you want to see implemented into the title, and what you guys thought overall of the video. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And as always, stay happy, stay hyped, and have a beautiful day.